Good morning, y'all, and happy Valentine's Day. This right here is something that I've been putting off on for an extremely long time because I didn't want to get into this area because there's so many crazy people out there that for some strange reason believe that LeBron James is the greatest basketball player to ever walk this earth, which is factually not true. They will ignore the facts, bend the truth to make it seem like LeBron James is the greatest when he's not. This guy had maybe 5 or 6 great years where he was clearly the best player in the league for 5 or 6 years. And then they're trying to say that he's better than a guy who was the greatest player in the league before his peak, during his peak, and on his decline for 11 straight seasons with one squad in Chicago. These LeBron fans would like to denigrate him going through the grind as that is a negative thing, and overcoming obstacles and everything to succeed, while they praise taking the easy way out, teaming up with other fellow superstars to get championships. They celebrate that, which tells you all you need to know about these people. They worship this man like he's the second coming of Jesus Christ, which is absurd. Like, seen a video of this man mocking the Holy Communion by drinking LeBron's Hennessy and acting like he caught the Holy Ghost. These are the type of people that we're dealing with here. Freaking weirdos. And then they make YouTube channels, Instagram pages, denigrating the late great Kobe Bryant, denigrating Michael Jordan, denigrating the whole 90s era to try to make a point that LeBron James is better. If you got to put in all that energy to prove that someone is better, they're not. Because if they're that great, the work is in itself, and you don't have to say anything. Just let the work speak for itself. But they can't do that. They got to make narratives, propaganda, bend the truth to elevate him. And the only people that believe that crazy shit are the weirdos that are just like them. Now, this is not against any of the sane LeBron supporters. He's your favorite player, that's great. You're supposed to have, you can have your favorite player. But don't fucking lie because you like a player. So, for example, me, I'm a diehard Laker fan. Been a Laker fan since I watched basketball, since I was like 5 years old. You know, grew up on the Showtime Lakers. Then went through the 90s, the Nick Van Exel, Eddie Jones era. Then the Shaq Kobe Lakers. Then the Kobe Paul Gasol Lakers. Now the LeBron James Lakers. I done seen it all. I grew up on the Lakers. My favorite player is Magic Johnson. I believe Magic Johnson is the greatest point guard ever walked this earth. But I'm not going to sit here and act the damn fool and act like Magic Johnson is the greatest basketball player to ever walk this earth. And then try to clown everybody that disagree with me. Because anybody that has a brain knows Magic Johnson is not the greatest basketball player to walk this earth. He done great things as a 6'9" point guard. He spearheaded the Showtime Lakers, won as a rookie, and left the game prematurely with a lot of gas still left in the tank. But we're not going to sit up here and act like he's the greatest basketball player to walk this earth. LeBron James fans can't accept that he's not the greatest basketball player ever. They want to force you into saying that he is. Which, if you got to put in all that energy, you know deep in your heart that he's not. So, this is just the first of many. This is going to be just a little quick little rant video that I'm going to do. I'm going to give a shout out to my man Sports and Fitness Rants. I'm not trying to bite your style or none of that. This is just something that has to be done. And when we make our content, we are not going to sit up here and denigrate LeBron James. We're not going to shit on him. We're not going to make him look like a damn fool. He done that enough himself. But we are going to speak the factual truth of what all these LeBron James supporting pages are omitting out of their videos to try to prove their propaganda that he's better. Hey, you. Yeah, I love dogs. So, in a nutshell, I'm going to conclude it like this. Look, there's no set criteria as to greatest of all time criteria. It's basically set on your point of view as what is the greatest of all time criteria, which is the problem. There needs to be major criteria. One, stats, very important. You got to have the numbers to back it up. LeBron has phenomenal all-time stats. That is proven. 50,000, 40,000 plus points regular season, over 10,000 rebounds, 10,000 assists. Hey, that's a great accomplishment. Accolades. Hey, 21 years of all NBA, that is not something to shy about. That is an amazing accomplishment. 20 plus all-star game appearances. That is a major accomplishment. Multi-MVP. Greatest accomplishment. Finals MVP in all of his championship wins. Great accomplishment. Those are great accomplishments. 4-time NBA champion. Great accomplishments. But you're trying to sit here and say he's greater than a man that has more MVPs, 5, more finals MVPs, 6, three-peated not once, but twice, in a feat that is rarely done. When there's only a handful of NBA players that has won more than 3 or more championships in a row. We all know Bruce Holt, shout out to the Format Podcast, would love to remind you about the Bill Russell era. 8 straight. Amazing. Kobe and Shaq, three-peated once. Almost did it twice, but the 08 Celtics took care of that. Shout out to Bruce. Jordan, three-peated twice. No game 7s. Ended them in 6. They like to say, oh, well, he won. He was beat the 73-9 Golden State Warriors. Came back from being down 3-1. That is a major accomplishment. But they like to spin it to make it seem like that is greater than you being the only 70-win team to win the championship. 72-10. With a 30-plus year-old age roster. Now, They like to denigrate the 90s, talking about the rules, talking about the illegal defense, that you're not allowed to double team Jordan. You have to stay, you can't cross the free throw line on help defense, which is factually correct. However, what they will omit out of that defense is that they did, and there's video footage proving that Jordan was double teamed and triple teamed multiple times. The defense back then was tailored to corral the lane, to take away, because in the 90s, you know, the most efficient shot back then was getting in the paint, getting in the post, you know, getting the easy layup at the rim. And Jordan was very good at attacking the rim. So that was what 90s defenses were tailored to. So they will omit that Jordan's efficiency at the rim was very high. Well, LeBron James is too. Not gonna get that twisted. Not gonna get that twisted. He was very, efficient at the rim too. However, the biggest difference with illegal defense and defensive 3 seconds is defensive 3 seconds works the same way as offensive 3 seconds. You cannot be in the key longer than 3 seconds. Then you have to clear it, which means you get by your defender. In today's rules, there is nobody at the rim to challenge your shot. And if they are, they have to be a very skilled big man that can get from outside the lane, inside the lane, challenge the shot without fouling. There's only a handful that can do that, and Wemby right now has figured that out. He's one of the best to do it. Rudy Gobert is very good at that too. But he gets caught sometimes because why? Because of the rules. He has to be out of the key. And he can't camp in there for more than 3 seconds. He has to come in, and 9 times out of 10, he's getting bodied because he is coming from outside in to try to challenge that shot. Whether in the 90s, that shot blocker was already anchored in that paint. That was what the defense that Michael Jordan was going against. We've had a page that said Michael Jordan never had to face a Defensive Player of the Year center any of his championship runs. When the league back then was, just because a center didn't win Defensive Player of the Year, that doesn't mean he was not a dominant defensive center. You had David Robinson, Hakeem Olajuwon, Patrick Ewing, Shaquille O'Neal, a lot of Manute Bol, for example, 7'7", anchored in the paint. You had also Dikembe Mutombo, multi-year Defensive Player of the Year in the 90s, and shot blocking king. That's not even all the guys. That's just the top 5. Those guys were clearly in there. He had to go. He went through Dikembe. He went through Ewing. Reason not all of them can win Defensive Player of the Year every year. You're cluttered with talented big men that anchored the paint in Jordan's era. They like to cherry pick footage that shows defenses not putting in the best effort to say the 90s era was terrible. But they will love to boost up. I know this is the 80s, but they like to boost up teams like the Bad Boys Pistons because they used to beat up Jordan. And I just say, oh, he couldn't get through them. When The '07 Spurs, they were a more skilled version of the Bad Boys Pistons because they'll rough you up. You get in that lane, they'll rough you up. They were physical, defensively, and skilled. Like, all they did was build a brick wall and dare LeBron James to shoot. And took away all his passing options. With the new version, with the zone defense, which was just implemented in the league around the time. So, and what happened? People were complaining, bitching and moaning, as they always do. They like to say Jordan was complaining to change the rules. Well, they were bitching and complaining that zone defense made it harder for the NBA players to score, which is a main reason what led to the dead ball era when scoring averages were in the mid-90s, when zone defense was implemented. And let's also not forget about hand checking being taken away off the perimeter. Anybody that hoop knows that it's harder to get around a defender if he's able to put his forearm on your waist to slow you down. That's taken away too. Jordan also didn't have to deal with the gather step. That was not a move that was allowed. It was in the rule book. Don't get it twisted, act like it wasn't in the rule book. It was, but it wasn't implemented as being a legitimate move to use. Now the gather step is legal. So, with all that being said, oh yeah, and LeBron supporters will love to omit that as well. And we're going to prove that in the later videos that we do. So, with all that being said, you got an extra step now. You got a defense that's more spread out. You got the defensive 3 seconds, which is not allowing you to stop contests at the rim. You got all these changes from the styles from the 90s to now. With the changes. You would think with that being in the offense's favor right now, the offensive numbers would be exploding, right? Oh, right, they are. So you get that false pretense that the stars of today are better scorers than they were yesteryear, when they're not. You needed more skill to get your shot off back then, because defenses were more clustered and shots were taken more into the paint and mid-range. The only time you hit a three was in a wide open kick out, or if you were just a Reggie Miller or Ray Allen, you just go up and pull up and knock them down. When now the three-point shot is a primary weapon in today's game. But the LeBron James supporters will argue that makes the game harder. To an extent, that is true, because now you got to stretch your defense to guard the three-point line as well. That is so. As a basketball coach, there is truth to that. That does put more effort on the defense. But what they will omit is that with more rules favoring the offense over the defense is already at a liability. So there's less defensive strong teams. Not saying that there's not any in the league now, because OKC is proving that. Even with the rules favor the offense, you can still get things done. Now, let me not get off track. The main topic is LeBron James being the greatest basketball player ever, which is not true. Okay, it is not true. He had 5 good peak years. Many people argue that 2018 was his greatest. People that support Michael Jordan will say 1988 was his greatest. That's up for debate. That is what your preference is. I don't deal with hypotheticals. So I deal with facts. Facts and facts only. You're not better than a player that has more accolades. 3, the main thing about being the greatest of all time Winning. Winning, winning, winning. Michael Jordan went through the grind with his Chicago Bulls team. Came in on the squad that had aging veterans, and I don't even know what to call his role players. He had no choice but to score 30 plus a night. And he did it. LeBron James came into also a young team. They got both. Number 1 pick, top 3 pick. Teams were terrible. But he had Larry Hughes and a slightly better roster. However, they both came into bad situations and made them better. However, one person stuck through the grind and built this team around him, and they eventually won the championship and never looked back. While the other left the grind, teamed up with 2 of the top 10 lottery picks from his draft class alone to pair up, and still failed. 2 out of 4 championships. GOATs don't do that. GOATs dominate. They have no argument for that whatsoever. They don't. So they come up with emotional responses, call you out names, and try to knock you off your pivot to distract you off of that topic. Like, GOATs don't do that. This conversation didn't even start until this dude called himself the GOAT. And, the people that understand basketball, the people that saw Michael Jordan play was like, hold up, bro. What the heck are you talking about? You're not the greatest. We seen a guy by the name of Michael Jeffrey Jordan do this way before you and do it better. That's what started this whole conversation. And then LeBron James fans decided to go on their tirades. And every time they go on a tirade, somebody has to come up and debunk it, because they're all they are is spitting bullshit out of their mouths. Like, there's no toothpaste or mouthwash that can get the stench off of the bullshit that's on their breath, because they're just regurgitating shit. So winning, he has not won more. He has more all-star teammates, bruh. And a losing record when it matters. But they would say, like, oh, he's more clutch all time. He has more clutch points all time. Clutch field goals, which is true. But going back to their argument, they like to argue competition. This was in something that's factually proven, that the East, that he dominated, they go to 10 straight finals. Well, 9 straight, not 10. He didn't go to the 10th one until he went to the Lakers. Well, 8 straight. I'm tripping. He went to 8 straight finals. No one has ever done that besides Bill Russell. The only difference is Bill Russell won against DeMar DeRozan and the Toronto Raptors. They love to boost up LeBronto. Like, dude, who the fuck was you playing? Kyle Lowry, DeMar DeRozan, who weren't at their peak yet. The Atlanta Hawks. Enough said. Yeah. They were top in the race, but the East was weak. The biggest comp they got was Paul George and the Indiana Pacers to push them to 7 games. I'll give Paul George his prop. I thought Paul George was going to be a beast after that, but then shoo. But there was no comp. And when he went against serious comp like the KG Celtics, what happened? They put belts to that ass. Yeah, he eventually got through them. So, like I said, I respect the grind. He eventually got through them. I respect to LeBron for that. But what happened? He went up against Defensive Player of the Year, Dwight Howard, and they put belts to that ass. Why? Because LeBron James was running his mouth, pissed them off. And they put belts to him. That was the year that it was supposed to be LeBron James, Kobe Bryant finals in 2009. I think 2009 LeBron season was better than 2018. However, We know why LeBron James fans are not gonna say that, because he got his belt put to him in the Eastern Conference Finals. While he does have remarkable stats in the fourth quarter, you can't omit that there's multiple times that we've seen on camera that he disappeared in that fourth quarter. They say that I'm not even, so I'll give them this. They say that we're tripping on him passing the ball up, making the right play instead of taking the shot, which we predict all stars to do. That's not LeBron's play style. So I'm not gonna hold that against him. I'm not gonna say he's going away from competition. But you gotta know the majority of the damage that he's did was in the weakened Eastern Conference to get all those numbers. Stats only say one thing. That don't mean you better. That does not mean that he was a better closer in games than Michael Jordan. The bigger the moment, the bigger the shot, Michael Jordan always rose to the challenge. Did he have his failures? Of course he has. Everybody has. But they're less and far in between than LeBron James's failures. So we're gonna touch on that too. So winning the eye test. Enough said about the eye test. We've seen both of them side by side in the beginning of their careers, to their prime, to their decline. And Michael Jordan has always played on a high level, offensive defense. 40 years old, playing all 82 games on one leg. We forgot that the first year that he was with Washington, they were the number 4 seed in the East before he got that freakish knee injury. The year after that, getting his knee drained, still playing all 82 games, still averaging over 20 points a game. You gotta admit, when he left Chicago, his career average was 31.7. Google it. His career scoring average as a career when he left Chicago after 98 was 31.7. Google that shit. His career point average went down damn near 2 in Washington because he only barely averaged 20. At 40 plus, after taking 3 years off. So the other part of it, longevity. LeBron gets that hands down. He's been playing at a high level for 22 years, bro. That's insane. I'm not going to be like, oh, it's because of steroids and all that shit. No, I'm not going there. I'll let them talk about that. But you can't shy away from that. While Michael Jordan did a lot in less time, LeBron's accolades is more spread out over the years. But just because you did it longer does not mean you did it better. You got 10 scoring titles in 13 years in Chicago. That is ridiculous. 1 Defensive Player of the Year, 5 MVPs in 13 seasons. That is crazy. Multiple defensive all first teams, all NBA, except for maybe 1 or 2 seasons, he was all NBA first team. LeBron's been second and third. Well, I'll give him the third team was until he got older. So both Rookie of the Year. So the accolades go to Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Eye test goes to Michael Jeffrey Jordan. I'm also getting sick and tired of these people. They like to brag. I'm gonna end this with this. They like to brag that he has more points, more rebounds, more assists, and all that than Michael Jordan. Remember, this dude played 9 more fucking seasons. 9 more. He's supposed to have more all-time numbers if he played 9 more freaking seasons. However, people forget People that know basketball understand. Jordan could do everything LeBron did, and he did it in his years with Doug Collins. Remember, he was asked to play point guard. He was averaging a triple-double in that time frame. Yes, LeBron supporters would say, oh, but it was only 20 games and so, but he still averaged damn near he still averaged a triple-double, still was getting double-digit assists and rebounds when asked to do it all. Phil Jackson got there, and they said, no, we're going to find somebody to do the dirty that work for you. We want you to focus on just scoring. They like to talk about, oh, he wouldn't have won without Pippen. There's truth to that because he didn't win a championship. He hasn't won a championship without Pippen. But he did win without him. Not in pros, but in college. But I'm not going to touch on that because he had a damn killer squad in North Carolina. I'm not going to front. So, they like to denigrate that he got beat by the Pistons. When he finally beat the Pistons, let's kill this propaganda that they got old. The average age of that team was 32 years old. That's old? They were back-to-back NBA champions about to go for their three-peat. Let's stop lying. They were about to go for their three-peat when the Bulls beat them. They were primed to if you were got to be alive and then, it was primed, promoted rematch, Magic versus Zeke against the Pistons. Because the Pistons beat them the year before. So they were gearing up for that rematch. Jordan and the Bulls took care of that. And that was before Pippen was Pippen. Pippen wasn't Pippen then. So, stop with all that bullshit. Yes, Pippen was an all-around player. He did a lot of the dirty work, but Jordan could do the exact same thing. And they got to understand, he was a guard. Guards are not going to average 10 rebounds a game. A shooting guard back then is not going to average 10 assists a game. When a shooting guard is averaging over 5 assists a game, he's doing great. Anybody that understands basketball knows that. So, stop arguing with these LeBron fans. 99% of them don't know basketball. They're just speaking on emotion because their glorious king is not being praised by everybody. And it is never going to happen. He's going to get exposed when he retires. It's starting to happen now. Shout out to my man Bruce Hope with Format Podcast. It's going to happen. As soon as he walks away from the game, I'll give it maybe 1 season, 2 years after. He's going to be exposed and his game is going to be dissected worse than anybody ever. Because the league's not going to benefit from him anymore. So all that's going to be exposed. And then last thing I'm going to say is you had this one guy. I'm not even gonna give him no notoriety by mentioning his page name. But if he sees this video, he's gonna be like, "Oh, you a coward for not mentioning my name." I'm not gonna say your name because I'm not gonna praise your whack ass page with all them half lies, but them half truths you be saying. Which I'm gonna dissect all that, in the videos that are coming. Talking about Michael Jordan's career is not enough, nigga. You what the hell you been smoking? Sorry y'all for me saying the N-word. God is working on my mouth, trying to get better. But Scottie Pippen, phenomenal player, top 75. The only top 75 player that Michael Jordan ever played with. You gave him 1 All-Star. He went a whole decade not losing 2 games in a row, 2 3-peats. And dominated the 90s. The only time anyone won in the 90s is when, number 1, he wasn't in the league. And number 2, he came damn near toward the end of the season after taking a year off. That's when the other guys won. Only 2 teams won the championships in the 90s. Well, 3. Detroit Pistons in 1990. The Rockets. 94, 95, and then, of course, the Bulls. Can't say the same thing for LeBron's era. GOATs dominate. They don't just dominate a conference. They dominate the league. That's what GOATs do. Bill Russell did it. His Celtics dominated the league. He should be in the damn GOAT conversation. More than LeBron. His team actually dominated the league. Jordan team dominated the league. He should be in the GOAT conversation. It's warranted. None of LeBron's teams dominated the league. They dominated a weak Eastern Conference. They didn't dominate the league. So I'm going to end it at that. In 35 minutes. I'm going to do a little bit more rant videos like this. Remember, Robin, Sports Fitness Rants. I'm not stealing your style. But this just had to be done because I am tired of the lies and everything that is all over the internet. All right. Peace. Love y'all. Be Ready Sports Podcast. Be ready. Stay ready. And we out.